everybody. Welcome back to a Monday edition of Wisconsin Weather Experts. What a month we have had so far. We were just talking before the show even opened about how we just dove right into winter. This weekend we saw another batch of snow across at least southern Wisconsin. It has been so busy and it's going to stay that way.
Yeah, it really is. A lot of people maybe even had to go out and do some minor shoveling this weekend, but we did have some locations that had a view like this. And again, more snow moved in. Now, the National Weather Service over the weekend did issue a winter weather advisory for counties along and south of the I-94 corridor, where portions saw anywhere from 4 to over 5 inches of snow. Areas north of Milwaukee only saw a few inches, but everyone had covered roads. It led to a lot of difficult travel early Sunday morning. Certainly was not the easiest ride into work, but we weren't the only ones impacted in Wisconsin.
There were a lot of spots that dealt with this storm system extending into parts of Chicago. It's officially Chicago's snowiest start of the season since 1978. Isn't that crazy? Now, I did check here, Milwaukee is our 18th snowiest start to the season. So that's, I mean, maybe not quite as impressive, but it still says a lot. Now, this comes after as much as 5 inches of snow fell between Saturday and Sunday. Again, that's in Chicago. Chicago is now up to about 17 inches of snow accumulation this season. Get this, that's nearly how much fell all of last winter in Chicago.
Well, and for us too, I mean, Steph, I was just telling you that we are 8.6 inches above normal for this time of year for Milwaukee, and we've had over 13 inches of snow. And we typically don't see these big heavy hitter systems until later on in the season. So getting this so early on, I mean, that just shows the power of Mother Nature, not only bringing in the very cold temperatures, but as we're transitioning into the beginning of winter, we still have a lot of moisture in the air, and that can quickly allow these systems to dump an impressive amount of snowfall.
Yeah, exactly, especially at the rate we're getting these systems. But now let's head to the nation's capital, too, another spot that picked up its first sprinkle of winter. This was beautiful video of the White House, clearly looking like a holiday postcard, right? Now, according to the National Weather Service out there, the city woke up to a cozy 2-inch blanket of snow on Friday, and they are actually expecting more throughout the day today.
It's just so beautiful there. I think the best part about the snow early on is we have the decorations out.
Right.
The Christmas lights or holiday lights get covered in snow. I have seen some of the inflatables, you know, not so inflated. They're
yes, mine are way down right now.
But there's just something so magical about driving at night. You have the snow on the grass rather than dead grass and leaves everywhere. But we are going to talk about some of the impacts of snow and leaves coming up. We unfortunately do get some issues early on in the season too, as people are maybe trying to get back their snow legs on driving, or snow hands, whatever you want to call it. Winter weather did cause a driver, unfortunately, to lose control in upstate New York. Now, again, this was last week, but the crash led to a head-on collision into a snowplow. The good news is that no one was injured, and the plow obviously was damaged, as well as the car. The state's DOT is using this as a reminder to slow down when winter weather hits. Now, it looks like there's maybe an embankment off on the side and a guardrail, so this probably could have been way worse. And thankfully, we don't have a whole bunch of cars behind him too. Pile-ups happen this time of year, but what a scary scene. There's nothing more terrifying than when your stomach drops. And even if I slide a little bit, I'm like, oh my gosh, just go with the slide and don't move it. But it's hard to kind of think when you're going through the motion of that happening. So thankfully, everyone was okay.
Yeah, thankfully. Okay, and then check out this. This is incredible video, by the way. This is from St. Joseph, Michigan. So just across Lake Michigan. Up here along Lake Michigan, coated with thick ice along the railings caused by an Arctic blast of air over the weekend. So this caused waves to freeze on surfaces near the lake. High temperatures reached the low and mid-20s with lows in the teens all last week. Now, while the Great Lakes don't have a lot of ice yet, that could change as we continue to head into winter months and cold air sticks around. So once the temperature of the Great Lakes drops, lake effect snow is less likely. That's really incredible.
It's just a beautiful shot, right? Of course, sometimes when we have these not so comfortable and great events, we can get some artistic views out of it. And one of the things that we are going to talk about, if we can pull up our graphic here, is the ice concentration. So the Great Lakes, they do monitor how much ice traces on them throughout the months. And notice we don't have a lot of highlighted colors there. So we are not in the iciest part of the Great Lakes season for the winter. Superior does have 1.17% of it right now, as well as Lake Huron has 2.56%. So as the winter months continue, and especially if we see these colder temperatures persist, that cools down the lake waters at a more rapid rate. That overall then can create more ice. And also we know that lake effect snow is a big driver for some areas across the Great Lakes region. You know, we've had our fair share of one of our first snowfall events where that cold air is moving across the warm lake, and then that ingests a lot of that up into the clouds and can just dump snow continuously. So the colder the lakes are, it's not that it can't bring it up into the clouds, but we don't have that vast temperature difference, so we normally don't have super heavy snows. But we will continue to track how much ice we have over the lakes. Obviously, a lot of people I know already up in some of our smaller lakes inland doing some ice fishing. We're not there yet for southern portions of the state, but some people are heading up north, where I even know some people who caught some big fish. So
that's great.
We're heading into that time of year.
There you go. And how about this? Another really incredible sight. A snowy owl was spotted in Milwaukee's Harbor District this week. So a couple city pages posting pictures to Facebook showing the owl perched on a construction barrel. This is amazing.
Oh, look, he looks so happy.
Oh, okay. So during the winter, snowy owls head south from the Arctic Circle.
Oh.
Sightings in Wisconsin aren't unheard of, but they are pretty rare. It's more common in northern Wisconsin, I think, not as common down here. Now, this year, the sightings have been a little earlier than we normally see, of course, thanks to the earlier start to our winter season.
You know, I can't say I've ever seen an owl like this, but we do have a lot of orange barrels, so if you do see something on top of it, definitely going to stand out there. He just looks so cozy, like he was enjoying the cold Arctic air that probably came with him when he came down from the Arctic.
It's just majestic. Beautiful, beautiful
Well,
animals.
if you see something cool like that, of course, you can send it in. But we are going to talk a little bit about something unique, because we use a lot of things like Ubers and Lyfts for car rides. But what about finding someone to maybe cut your grass or remove your snow? Well, this is going to be a new thing. The Nashville-based company GreenPal is a website and app. It's used nationwide to help find some homeowners a skilled helper to cut their grass. But the platform is now expanding to snow removal, and it's coming to Milwaukee this week. So if you hurt your back the other week with the heavy snow, hey, here's another alternative you can use. It is an easy way for people to find locals and pre-screened snow pros that will bid in real time to take on the job. Snow removers will have to be able to do the job the same day or the next day for service, and you can pay securely after receiving a confirmation photo of the completed work, of course, to make sure that you don't get scammed. Co-founder Gene Caballero said that this was launched in 250 cities across the nation, including Chicago to our south, and he's thrilled to bring a reliable and local snow removal option to Milwaukee homeowners.
That's fantastic.
It's going to be great.
It's very successful.
And you think about all the people who either have, physically they're not able to do that, or people who are older and they can rely on someone and not just some service that costs a lot of money. I mean, someone local. We normally back at home, pay the neighbors across the street, the kids who want some money, maybe going to
I love that.
They have the muscles and there's energy and strength. But this is going to be really great for the Milwaukee area. So hopefully it can be put to good use.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, well, more days with bitterly cold temperatures are on the way this week, and warming centers are still, unfortunately, unprepared due to the opening earlier this year, I should say. So a combination of the early cold and snowfall has impacted people across the area that don't have winter gear. If you or someone you know needs a place to stay warm overnight, there are a number of warming shelters available across our area right now. You can find out more information on our website, fox6now.com, and the Fox Local app, and then especially this upcoming weekend. Coldest air of the season on the way, so maybe if you spot someone in the near term, make sure that's in the back of your mind.
Yeah, and you'll break down a little bit more on some of the cold on the way, but it's not just about physical people. The dangerous temperatures, it also can be very impactful on your pets. And you may not think about it, but the paws are a big one. Of course, if you have an animal, here are some of the things you need to keep in mind. Veterans experts, they do suggest keeping an emergency kit with food, water, and medication for animals on hand. Don't forget about frostbite. Dogs are at risk once the temperature falls below 32 degrees, which we've had a long stretch of that.
Yeah.
So not great on especially some of the smaller dogs with short hair. Especially if they're damp or wet, that can also increase some of the frostbite potential. The American Animal Hospital Association says mild hypothermia can begin when dogs' body temperatures drop below 98 degrees. Experts suggest immediate veterinary care to help them warm back up. I mean, this is going to be a hard thing. Does your dog have a hard time with this too? Or,
yeah.
I mean, you've had dogs for a long time in your life.
Yeah.
So what do you do in the winter months? I mean, do you put like pads or they have little booties?
My dog does not like being outside in general, so I do have a little coat on her, but I will literally pick her up, bring her outside, set her on her spot, we all know, and then pick her up and bring her right back inside. Because yes, mine, she's older, she's a miniature dachshund, she is losing her hair, so she doesn't really have her coat anymore.
Oh, so the coats help.
Yes, it does. But also, I know we didn't really talk about this, but also be very careful around salt too. The salt is not good for dogs' paws. They make brands that are better than others. So again, if you are a dog owner or have a lot of dogs in your neighborhood, I would say maybe just do some research on some of the salt that we put down.
And don't let them lick the salt, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
there you go.
Good.
That's another thing. We don't want to do that. Well, we're probably going to need more salt on surfaces. Unfortunately, coming up, snow on the way. Are you ready or not?
We have such an active week ahead. Let's dive into our regional weather. Oh, let me change the graphic for you real quick, actually. Perfect. We, have almost back-to-back systems coming in, heading on into the next couple of days. We have one overnight tonight, and then another one Tuesday evening into Wednesday. That one looks to be a bigger system, so you can tell that it is quite a bit more active across the north central portion of the United States as well as out towards the northwest. So here is round one that will move into Wisconsin overnight tonight. It's going to be in and out very quickly, not expected to bring a ton of snowfall accumulation, maybe up to an inch in a handful of southern communities, a little higher up towards the north. And then round two is out towards the west. This will more so be Tuesday evening into Wednesday, and that one does look to be the messier storm system. It is going to bring in some slightly warmer temperatures, meaning we could see snow set up north, rain set up south. We could see some icy conditions at times. Eventually, everybody is going to see snow on Wednesday, but I do think Tuesday evening and Tuesday night is going to be a bit messy for southern Wisconsin. Northern Wisconsin, you're going to see all snow out of this at the rates we're going. Now, there are a lot of wind headlines out towards the west as well. We are going to see an increase in wind speed too. I'm not sure they'll be high enough to actually warrant any headlines, but just know that especially second system Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to see a little warm up. We're going to see very messy precipitation, and it is going to be windy. Now, out ahead of that second storm system, not the one we see tonight, but later Tuesday into Wednesday, there are winter storm watches extending from North Dakota into northern and central Minnesota on into north and central Wisconsin, and there is also in northeastern portions of Minnesota a winter weather advisory. But notice as we zoom in on the state, right now those headlines are just for northern Wisconsin, but I do think everybody else towards the south will at least see an advisory closer to tomorrow for that potential of wintry mix or rain, freezing, causing icy conditions. But it's worth mentioning that the storm track of that one is going to be very important, because if it pushes south a little bit, which it does appear to be doing, we could end up seeing that watch extended into some of our northern communities, again, north of Milwaukee, for some of that heavier pockets of snow. So there's a lot going on with this second storm system. Also, there is still a decent storm system impacting the mid-Atlantic states right now, with as well as wintry mix, some accumulating snowfall. There are actually winter storm warnings for parts of the mid-Atlantic right now. So I guess, we're not alone. Let's take a look at what we have in the next couple of days. Now, today, we have the slight chance for a few flurries lakeside, mainly north of Milwaukee. We'll say maybe Ozaukee County to about Manitowoc County, but it's not going to be a huge deal whatsoever. Then we have that first clipper system. It's going to bring snow to a good portion of the state. Better chance up towards the north for a few more inches of accumulation, but those of us down towards the south, in and out very quickly. In fact, gone by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, but could produce about a half an inch to about an inch south, over 2 inches in some of our northern communities, and we'll show you a snow map here in just a little bit. And then we'll have a break during the day Tuesday, and then Tuesday, late afternoon into the evening, second system rolls in. Notice how snow is favored up towards the north, and it may initially initially start as snow down towards the south, but then we will likely see this transitioning over to maybe some rain. Milwaukee and points towards the south, potentially some wintry mix elsewhere, but again, northern communities and certainly central and northern Wisconsin more so favored to see snow. And then on the backside of this storm system Wednesday morning, and really the first half of Wednesday in general, colder air spills in, the wind picks up, this all changes over to snow. So we could still see some lingering snow showers on and off throughout the day. Now for tonight's storm system, minimal impacts here down towards the south. I'd say up to an inch at best and slightly higher up towards the north, maybe 1 to about 3 inches. Now this absolutely could still change, but it is still possible that, again, northern and central Wisconsin sees the heaviest snowfall totals with Wednesday, potentially over 6 inches. We're just going to have to see how far south that gets. I do think, north of Milwaukee, as far as our viewing area here locally, Fond du Lac, Sheboygan counties, and maybe the communities just south could see, at least I'd say 1 to 3 inches worth of snowfall, but potentially even higher than that. So really honing in on that storm track specifically, hoping for a clearer picture, again, even later today, but especially tomorrow. I would say even though we have the chance for some rain in Milwaukee and southward, everybody at some point will see snow, and some could still see some higher snowfall totals. So something just to pay attention to. And this is not a big time frame here. I would say prepare for the snow tonight as well as tomorrow, starting today. Now temperatures for today, still going to be a bit on the cool side. We're hanging out in the 20s, but notice forecast highs out towards the west, quite a bit warmer. So we are going to see that uptick in temperatures the next couple of days. Tuesday and Wednesday both will be in the 30s, but then look at what happens. We are going to drop big time behind that second storm system. 20s for Thursday, teens heading on into Friday, and potentially single digits on Saturday. So we've got a big drop in temperatures as we look ahead to next weekend. And we talked a little bit about the wind. I do think Tuesday and Wednesday the wind will pick up quite a bit, but nothing excessive. We've had stronger wind with other storms so far this season, but just know it's going to be quite an active next couple of days here locally.
Yeah, stuff we've been talking about, the cold temperatures, right? Yeah. We've been below freezing for a long stretch, and it doesn't necessarily feel that cold, but factoring in the winds, that's going to really bring those wind chills down to even dangerous conditions potentially by the end of the week. So you brought up a really valid note earlier, taking care of the pets, making sure with this event too, when we get that snow, to get it out of your driveway, off of those surfaces, because once that cold air arrives, it's not only going to be dangerous to remove the snow, but probably could harden again into an icy block where you might not be able to remove that incoming snow on Wednesday.
Right, which we've seen with previous storm systems too. It's just very important, like you said, clear everything Wednesday as everything exits, because otherwise it will be very icy by the next day. And
we're going to be watching too those areas that see rain that could ice over heading into Wednesday. So if you're tired of hearing about the ice and snow, we have a story that may heat you up a little more.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Now this is Hawaii's Mount Kilauea, and it continues to put on a show this past weekend. On Saturday, December 6th, lava fountains reached heights over 1,200 feet, and that lasted for over 12 hours. Cameras captured this volcanic eruption, but you have to see what happens at the end of the video, because you see that ash, that debris getting a little closer. It actually is going to destroy the camera in this process. You will notice that right here, we start to see it blinding our visibility, and then the camera will glitch out there at the end. The volcano is on the Big Island of Hawaii and is one of the most active volcanoes in the world. This is the 38th series of eruptions, and it's taken place ongoing since December 23rd of last year in 2024. So dealing with definitely some unique footage, but to see that get so close to the camera, and it's not only the ash and lava, it's massive blocks of lava rock. So that's causing some of the impacts there.
Yeah, that'll warm you up.
Well, we're gonna have a lot more coming up after the break, including a little more festive feel, especially with the snow on the ground, the cold in the air, and Christmas only a couple weeks away. Some stories on maybe what you can do in a little bit.
back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts. We're going to jump into emission testing now. It's something Wisconsin does and many surrounding states do as well. But some Wisconsin Republic lawmakers are making a push to end vehicle emissions testing in the state. Now, in a letter to Wisconsin's congressional delegation, the lawmakers are asking that they end that part of the Clean Air Act that requires drivers in southeast Wisconsin get their cars and trucks tested each year. Now, the lawmakers say the vehicle inspection and maintenance program is no longer useful due to the economic burdens on citizens and technological advancements in vehicles reducing the need for testing. Now, their data shows about only 3% of vehicles fail emissions testing. Of those vehicles that failed, most were older than 2009.
Huh. Well, it's
interesting.
An interesting topic. I mean, I do know some states, they have areas that are not as populated where they don't have to do this, but I personally think as a scientist, it's still very important.
I agree.
I mean, our air is very polluted, and while people are getting new cars and things change, we still want to make sure we can keep the air clean to the best that we can.
I agree.
So, well, Wisconsin does have a lot of birds, speaking of air, but it's that time of year for the annual Christmas bird count to begin. The Ridges Sanctuary Visitor Engagement Specialist Dan Scheitman tells us more.
At the end of the walkway at Anclam Park in Bailey's Harbor, birds dabble near the Lake Michigan shoreline.
As long as there's open water, we're still going to have water birds like Canada geese and a variety of ducks.
Dan Scheitman is a visitor engagement specialist at the Ridges Sanctuary nearby. He's also part of the upcoming Christmas bird count.
Volunteers go out in a designated 15-mile diameter circle on a certain date, and they count all the birds that they see or hear.
Scheitman says if people want to stay inside, counting birds at feeders is part of the survey.
Each Christmas bird count circle has a compiler who collects the data from all of the birders, and then the compiler submits that to National Audubon Society. National Audubon rolls it all up to give us that snapshot of bird distribution and abundance in winter all across the Western Hemisphere.
Scheitman says scientific studies show since 1970, nearly 3 billion birds have been lost across North America. And that's not all.
The National Audubon Society has learned that many birds are actually expanding their winter range northwards in response to warmer winter temperatures.
There are about 400 documented bird species in Wisconsin. Scheitman says he'll be on the lookout for the 3 dozen or so typically found during the Ephraim Circle survey.
Part of the excitement is you just never know what you're going to find. We're counting common birds and sometimes finding rare birds as well.
In Bailey's Harbor, Eric Peterson, Fox 11 News.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for staying with us again on a Monday, talking a lot about weather, birds, everything.
Cold, snow. It's December. It's here. We'll have a lot more tomorrow. Stay tuned at noon.